Much of Denver's top city brass are in London tonight. You might not have known that had there not have been news there today. 29 people were injured when a device detonated in the London subway. We learned this afternoon. That attack happened about 5 miles away from where the mayor was. Mayor Michael Hancock told us he was instantly worried because Police Chief Robert White and Police Commander Tony Lopez weren't with him yet. They were riding public transit, but he quickly learned they were okay. Got word back to Denver that the delegation was safe. I asked him by phone what he's taking away from watching London's leaders respond to a crisis, and he says what amazes him most is what he isn't seeing: panic.
This city has gone on with like business as usual, and so it's been an amazing thing to observe firsthand while we were here.
The Denver delegation opened the London Stock Exchange this morning in celebration of the new nonstop flight from Denver to London's Gatwick Airport. City leaders were there talking up Denver in hopes to lure more businesses our way. They will take that flight back tomorrow. Attorney General Jeff Sessions didn't get good news today. A federal judge ruled that the Justice Department cannot withhold public safety grant money from Chicago and other sanctuary cities for not cooperating with new immigration policies. More than 30 different jurisdictions, including Denver, have filed for up to $35 million of that grant money. The judge sided with Chicago officials who argued that penalizing cities for protecting people here illegally was unlawful and unconstitutional. ICE says its agents are working on a plan to deport Ingrid Ensalata Latorre, the woman who was denied a pardon from Governor Hickenlooper yesterday. The governor made his decision based off the fact that she was convicted of using someone else's social security number here in Colorado. Her stay of deportation expired today. Her supporters say she has 30 more days to tie up loose ends here in Colorado. Colorado's Secretary of State is looking into whether or not 48 people either voted twice in the state or once in Colorado and once in another state during the last election. Those 48 voters from both major and minor parties, as well as independents, keep in mind, 48 is a very small percentage of the 2.9 million Coloradans who voted in the last election. Law enforcement officers are now looking into those cases. A retired couple in Loveland is celebrating what they see as a victory in their long-running dispute with their homeowners association over yard decorations. Earlier this year, Richard and Colleen Stevens refused to remove a colonial American flag from their home after the Alfred Meadows Community Association informed them that the decoration violated community rules. Instead, Richard, a Marine Corps combat veteran, made a bigger decoration, a large sign spelling out his distaste for that HOA. In a response, the HOA sued Stevens to force them to take the flag and sign down, so Stevens hired a lawyer.
They're very pleasant people, but when it came down to a fight about his flag and about their choice for landscaping their house, or otherwise decorating their house, he put his foot down. And when they got sued about it, I said, keep your foot there.
The dispute was settled out of court this week. The Stevens get to keep their American flag up, and they've agreed to take down their protest sign, which is what they wanted all along. May I make a recommendation? This is where we point you towards anything that isn't ours, but is worth your time. We think you should check out former 9 News reporter Will Ripley's special on North Korea on CNN. He's been to North Korea 15 times in the past 3 years, and he's put together an hour-long special called Secret State Inside North Korea. Will was able to talk to North Koreans who have never spoken to foreign journalists. He also takes a trip into an active volcano on the border of North Korea and China. Witnesses Dennis Rodman's surprise arrival to the country, plus many other things. It airs tonight at 8 o'clock Mountain Time. Well, thousands of people will take a walk this weekend. A mission that has a lofty goal built right into the title, the Walk to End Alzheimer's. It's tomorrow morning at City Park. And in the crowd, you'll find a man who's no stranger to the finish line, even if his memory of it is starting to fade away. So how was lunch?
I didn't have lunch.
You didn't have any lunch?
No,
yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, you did. You just ate lunch. You had fish.
Yeah, fish.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
fish. Yeah, well, sure. But I mean, that's what you had to have.
So Dad noticed having memory problems before we did even. We thought, my brother and I thought that maybe he was just getting older and forgetting things.
It was fun because I was so skinny. And then these guys come around and they're big, isn't it? Big.
He grew up in La Junta, Colorado, and he was on the basketball team, obviously. He won the state tournament, or the team won the state tournament in 1949. Yeah. And they weren't expected to win. I don't know what it is. Dad just always has to be active. I don't know if it was just growing up, he always was, but ever since I can remember, Dad's been active.
Oh my God, the basketball.
Yeah, I used to play basketball.
Oh gee, this is, I got 3 of these.
Right.
Tigers, yeah, yeah. Here it is right here.
How old are you in that?
I don't know. I just got those things, guys, there.
The hardest part is he ate well, he's healthy, he was a runner, you know, and yet he got dementia, so you just, you know, you don't know. It was a surprise. So, you know, you just don't know who it's going to affect.
Yeah, I said pretty good.
Yeah.
I was.
Every once in a while I see the dad before dementia. I mean, there's moments.
What?
He's making it go.
And they're fleeting, but, you know, I can see it. He'll remember something and he'll start talking about it. Somebody or something in his life. So that's, you know, it's still in there someplace. They just can't get to it.
She's lovely.
Many of you out there are probably thinking, that's sad, but it doesn't impact me. I'd be surprised if it really didn't. But I'll be frank with you, I used to think the same way. Then my dad, at 66 years old, was diagnosed with dementia last year. I was standing in a room today, I thought I could get through this, with 3 other people, and we could all name someone in our lives who'd been impacted by this disease. It's a monster, and it continues to grow and hurt more than just those with a diagnosis. So if you can't make it out for the walk tomorrow, I hope you'll join me tomorrow on the morning show for a thoughtful conversation about the disease and the people it impacts. 69,000 Coloradans struggle with Alzheimer's disease. As we step away, I'll look at some of the names you shared with us of those who struggle with it every day. No way! Okay, that was a bad pun, but snow has been spotted in the mountains.
It's planetary sobriety happening everywhere.
If you're curious what planetary sobriety is, so are we. Boulder seems like the place to figure out what that might be. And your good news makes us happy, and it's the perfect way to end a week. Next. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a sign. Well, not an actual sign, but a sign that summer's coming to a close. 9 News Mountain newsroom reporter Matt Renew spotted a dusting of snow this morning. This video along Highway 91 today between Copper and Leadville. We'll be dealing with a lot more snow soon. Fall begins 1 week from today, by the way, in case you're wondering, on September 22nd.
Of the summer season, and we're going to be looking at fall-like temperatures. And of course, up in the high country, all that snow that you just saw, it was in the San Juans too. A great shot from the Telluride Ski Resort showcasing their first flakes of the season. Meanwhile, here in Denver, it still feels fantastic. We're going to be looking at temperatures in the 70s and low 80s at this 6 o'clock hour. Things cooling off tonight, though, as a cold front drops into the state. Right now on HD9, still a couple of scattered showers across the northwestern side of the state. Overall, fairly dry dry here in Denver, but here comes that front. This storm system producing snowfall, heavy snowfall in Montana, Wyoming, even parts of Idaho. Everything pushes past us tomorrow and in its wake, leaving us with some extremely cool temperatures running about 10 degrees below our average. In the lower 70s, it should be refreshing though. 80s in Lamar, Pueblo, Springfield, 60s in Frisco, Grand Lake and Hayden tomorrow afternoon. Planning forecast showing just a slight chance at maybe 1 or 2 isolated afternoon, evening storms on Sunday. Not a ton of rain, just some gusty winds. We stay in the 70s both Saturday and Sunday and then start to warm things up, back to the sunshine, back to the 80s. But as we head toward next week, Steve, yes, 1 week away from fall, it once again going to feel like it. Back to the 70s. Sweater weather will be upon us.
Favorite season of all. Thank you, Danielle.
You bet.
So just when you thought Boulder couldn't get any more zen, the Boulder Public Library invited Tibetan monks to create a sand mandala there at the library. It'll take them more than 100 hours to finish it, and we went to check it out today.
We're going to start today's session. Are you guys ready?
We all have the potential. We know within our day that how many actions we do. And most of our action is motivated by either desire, either greed, either jealousy or anger or hatred. So that's why our actions are all diluted by those things. So purpose of creating this Sand Mandala or Vajrasattva is to help us to purify those negativities. This practice is not an ordinary practice, it's the highest level of practice. You cannot make mistake because you are creating the celestial mansion.
This is part of what they can give to the West, is the peace, love, and compassion that's generated by doing these practices.
This is to help us to understand about this humanity, loving kindness, compassion, a good heart. This is the whole purpose of creating this mandala, to spread this vibe.
Just like that episode of House of Cards. It'll take monks through Sunday afternoon to finish the sand mandala. Then it'll be wiped away in a dissolution ceremony. There's a man here in Colorado who plans to run from DIA to Glenwood Springs at the end of the month for fun.
And I thought, well, heck, I can run that over maybe a couple of days. That would be really fun.
Sounds like a blast. I posted this picture of people stomping all over Rocky Mountain National Park last weekend, and the internet exploded. Natives started blaming transplants. Let's talk about that whole debate next. Some people really like running. John Keeler is one of those people. Likes it so much, in fact, he runs a little more than a half marathon every day. My knees are sore just thinking about that. They're even more sore thinking about this. John is going to run from DIA to Glenwood Springs, 193 miles. He's an ultra marathon runner. Our Anastasia Bolton is not, but she tried to keep up.
Maybe once in a while I'll go, I wonder how I'm going to feel today.
Everyone has their thing.
But he loves running.
And the reasons for doing it.
Definitely an addiction.
John Keeler can't quite explain his.
Yep, I don't know that I've ever really come up with a good answer why I run.
Because he runs more than half a marathon every single day.
But our day revolves around when's John gonna run?
Going on 4 years.
Bye, James. Sometimes you wake up and you're like, I really don't want to do this today.
Yeah, okay, sometimes he feels this way. But unlike me in that scenario, he goes anyway.
This is something that I really love to do. I like this feeling.
Today, he's running only 16 miles. Only.
It wasn't a workout by any means. It was just go out and make sure you get some mileage in.
Everything is an opportunity to put in the miles, even a grocery store.
If I can't hold it in 2 bags or stuff it in a pack, then I suppose that's the limit. I've never run with a jug of milk, I guess.
So when John heard of a bike path from DIA to Glenwood Springs and what he mapped as a 193-mile trek, he naturally said,
Heck, I can run that over maybe a couple of days. That would be really fun. Not only can I say that, I ran a long ways over multiple days, it's just kind of a neat idea to think of how close Denver is to the mountains and that you can get there self-powered, whether it be through a bike or on your own feet.
Right. So he's going to run it at the end of the month over 3 days, 72, 68, and 53 miles.
The last day is a relatively easy 53 miles.
He lights up when he talks about things like this, so it's hard not to just jump on board and say, okay, who's going to help us? What can I do?
Everyone has their thing. John's is running. His reasons for doing 193 miles from DIA to Glenwood Springs are, let's just say, his reasons.
It's just there. It's there, so I think that you should run it.
Makes total sense. For next, a very winded Anastasia Bolton.
Don't worry, she finally caught her breath. You might be wondering what John eats to fuel those runs. Bananas, yogurts, granola bars, Cliff Bars, chicken, and turkey. He confesses to pizza and candy too, and beer and wine, He can afford the calories. We're getting some feedback to the photo I showed you last week. My trip to Rocky a couple of weeks ago when I spotted people trouncing all over the tundra on Trail Ridge Road. I showed it to you because I was upset at myself for not saying something and suggested maybe we ought to do that more often. And then the natives started chiming in. Katie said, there are so many transplants to Colorado that don't understand the rules. No respect for our beautiful state, says Jessica. I'll keep giving them the thumbs down sign every time I see an out-of-state plate. Really? This is a native versus transplant thing? I'm willing to bet that there are some Colorado natives out there breaking the rules. Just like I'm willing to bet that there are some transplants who get just as upset when they see someone stomping all over an area that says do not enter. The whole they must be a transplant argument, kind of cheap. Why don't we just call the people what they are? People who don't respect our state's beauty. You don't need a birth certificate with a CO to love this state. But what do I know? I'm just a transplant. We will finish up your work week with another round of good news next. It's Friday, so we're ending the work week with the way we do every week. This time we asked those at Loveland Lake, what's their good news?
Well, I maintain this park, North Lake Park, and Benson across the street.
I'm here in Loveland, Colorado at Loveland Lake, enjoying the beautiful weather.
With all the bad weather going around in the country and the fact that we don't have any wildfires going on here and the sky is clear, or not smoky anyway.
Well, for one thing, I'm thankful that the Lord Jesus Christ got me in his hand and gives me the opportunity to work in a good place.
We do want to take a quick look at a fire that is burning right now, a brush fire in Douglas County. Getting some information on it right now. Past few minutes, brush fire burning there. We do not have a lot of information about what started it. We are working to get something confirmed, and we will have a lot more on this on later editions of 9 News tonight. Want to thank everybody for the kind feedback about my personal story this evening. A few questions about it. A lot of people were wondering if my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia. It's dementia. Obviously dementia, the symptoms, Alzheimer's, the disease. But still, we have one goal, end Alzheimer's. We'll talk about it tomorrow morning. See you next time.